Hi, thanks for joining me on the Listen Up Girl podcast, where I bring you LGBTQ plus news several times a week. I'm your host, Zach Randles-Friedman. Today's Thursday, September the 18th, and we have a lot of news to get into. So our first story is rainbow parking spaces celebrate pride amid the Florida crackdown. In Orlando, bakery owner Trina Gregory of 7 Bites received over 1,000 applications after announcing her Parking Space for Pride, a Rainbow Connection event. The project invites artists to transform private parking spots into colorful tributes to diversity and inclusion. Gregory's idea came directly in response to Governor Ron DeSantis' administration, which has been enforcing a state code banning any surface art on public roads, including painted crosswalks that have been celebrated LGBTQ and Black communities. By hosting the event on private property, Gregory has found a way to honor pride and promote artistic freedom while sidestepping the government restrictions. The overwhelming response highlights both the hunger for creative expression and the power of community led resistance. And again, go to this bakery, 7 Bites. It's SE, the number 7 Bites. Go and support this business because she is amazing for doing this. Next story, we have Pam Bondi emerges as most disliked cabinet member. CNN senior analyst Harry Enton has named Attorney General Pam Bondi the least popular member of the Trump cabinet, with approving ratings under by 19 points. Enton pointed to her controversial handling of the Epstein case as the main driver of her poor numbers, saying her reputation has never recovered. At the same time, Americans have been turning to Google in droves to search free speech, coinciding with Bondi's recent remarks about limiting constitutional protections. Critics argue that the combination of her past controversies and current push to roll back rights is fueling public distrust. Her case serves as another reminder of how free speech itself has become one of the most polarizing issues in America today. Next, we go to Colorado, where Colorado candidate launches anti-LGBTQ plus Rant. A Republican gubernatorial candidate in Colorado is under fire for a disturbing anti-LGBTQ plus rant. State Senator Mark Baisley, speaking at a GOP forum, lashed out at the historic number of openly LGBTQ plus representatives in Colorado's legislature, claiming their presence proves that they're in rebellion against nature. He went further, accusing queer lawmakers of infiltrating government to force their beliefs on others. Colorado has been seen as a state making progress in LGBTQ plus representation, but Baisley's rhetoric underscores the backlash still brewing within the Republican base. Advocates say his words fuel stigma and violence at a time when queer people already face disproportionate risk. Next story is Ali Alexander calls for mass attacks after Kirk killing. Ali Alexander, a key Stop the Steal organizer, has issued shocking calls for state violence in the wake of conservative activist Charlie Kirk's murder. Speaking in a live stream on Telegram, Alexander, who has faced of soliciting explicit photos from minors, demanded that Donald Trump imprison up to 500,000 people, even suggesting executions for treason. He also urged Trump to fire FBI Director Kash Patel and use state power to tell civil libertarians to shut up. The comment illustrates the dangerous radicalization of figures still prominent in far-right circles and how Kirk's killing is being used to justify new authority rhetoric. Next, Representative Clay Higgins targets social media over Kirk's reactions. Louisiana Congressman Clay Higgins, known for his history of racist and anti-LGBTQ plus comments, has written letters to the CEOs of major social media companies, including Meta, Google, and TikTok, demanding they remove all the posts that celebrated the murder of Charlie Kirk. Higgins went further, ordering the platforms to identify and ban those users, warning that if they don't comply, Section 230 will not shield them from liability. His letter is part of the larger right-wing campaign to police online speech about Kirk's death. Civil rights advocates warn that such demands could turn grief and outrage into pretext for mass censorship, silencing not just extremists, but ordinary citizens. I mean, if you're going to ban this, let's talk about banning all the people that are saying all the anti-trans stuff in the world, or talking about all the anti-LGBTQ plus in the world. You can't censor people. I mean, people have the right to say what they want about whatever they want in this country, at least currently. Next, Trump cheers Kimmel's suspension and slams late night host. President Donald Trump is celebrating ABC's suspension of Jimmy Kimmel's late night show after comments about conservative activist Charlie Kirk. Posting on Truth Social, Trump mocked Kimmel's rating, calling him zero talent, while also taking aim at Stephen Colbert and Seth Meyers on NBC, urging the networks to do it and cancel them too. Trump has had a long-running feud with late-night comedians who frequently lampoon his presidency. Supporters say this accountability is biased media voices, while critics argue it's another sign of political pressure, eroding freedom of speech and entertainment. Next, senators move to restore LGBTQ plus hotline option. 2 U.S. senators are introducing a new bipartisan bill to restore the critical lifeline for LGBTQ plus youth, the 988 LGBTQ plus Youth Access Act. Sponsored by Democrat Tammy Baldwin of Wisconsin and Republican Lisa Murkowitz of Alaska, would bring back the option to press 3 when calling the 988 suicide hotline, connecting callers directly to trained counselors who specialize in LGBTQ plus issues. The feature was eliminated by the Trump administration 2 months ago, leaving many vulnerable youth without tailored support. Advocates say its removal created a dangerous gap at a time when queer youth face disproportionately high rates of suicidal thoughts and mental health struggles. The bill would require federal funding to ensure the service is permanently reestablished. Next, Justice Department deletes right-wing violence study. According to 404 Media, the Trump Justice Department has quietly removed a study from its website that found right-wing extremist violence continues to outpace all other forms of terrorism in the United States. The report, available online until last week, can only now be accessed through Internet Archive. Its disappearance comes as Republicans increasingly blame violence exclusively on left-wing groups, even in the wake of attacks carried out by right-wing extremists. Critics called the deletion a dangerous act of political censorship, undermining the public understanding of domestic terror threats. I mean, if you look at all the people and all the issues that we have, it is these right-wing, white people that are doing a lot of the terrorist acts in the United States. Sad. Next, LGBTQ plus advocates push Guyana to end sodomy ban. In Guyana, LGBTQ plus advocates are calling on the new government to end the country's distinction as the only South American nation with laws criminalizing same-sex intimacy. SASOD, the Society Against Sexual Orientation Discrimination, said it is ready to work with the administration to decriminalize sodomy, pass anti-discrimination laws, and expand inclusion across healthcare, education, and government. Advocates also want emergency shelters for LGBTQ youth and stronger protections for equality. For decades, advocates have faced resistance, but with elections behind them, they see new momentum to finally bring Guyana into alignment with the rest of the region. Next, another story about Trump. Trump floats pride flag ban. President Donald Trump told reporters this week that he would have no problem banning the pride flag, echoing far-right pundits who branded LGBTQ symbol as terrorist. The remarks represent an escalation in attacks on queer visibility and public buildings where pride flags have already become political flashpoints. Advocates say the suggestion demonizes a simple symbol of equality and risk emboldening harassment and discrimination. Yet we still have the rebel flag or the flag that's in the South that was part of the Civil War still in front of a lot of courthouses in some of these southern states. Next, Michigan bill seeks porn ban and targets trans deceptions. In Michigan, Republican state Josh Shriver has introduced one of the most sweeping online censorship bills in the nation. The so-called Anti-Corruption of Public Morals Act would ban nearly all forms of pornography, whether written, visual, or digital, while making exceptions only for medical or academic material. Tucked into the legislation is a specific provision targeting the deceptions of trans people, essentially criminalizing their existence in media. It would also force internet providers to install filters blocking restricted content. Free speech advocates call the bill unconstitutional and discriminatory, while LGBTQ groups say it represents an attempt to erase trans people from culture altogether. And what's really funny is if you look at the statistics and the studies, a lot of these white straight men are the people that are going to look at porn. I mean, we're focusing on porn when there's all this other stuff that is happening in this country. That's what he wants to do a bill about is porn online. Let people watch what they want. Next, Ben & Jerry's co-founder resigns over silencing of activism. Jerry Greenfield, co-founder of Ben & Jerry's, has resigned from the company, saying its parent corporation, Unilever, has silenced the brand's tradition of political activism. Greenfield said that for more than 20 years, Ben & Jerry's stood for peace, justice, and human rights. But under pressure from the Trump administration, Unilever demanded the brand stop weighing in on issues like immigration, women's rights, and LGBTQ equality. Greenfield's resignation marks the end of the legacy that once made the ice creams synonymous with activism and raises questions about whether corporations can still take bold stance in today's political climate. You know, this news, it's just like today's world feels like it's buckling under these contradictions. On one hand, we are told to prize free speech as the foundation of our democracy. And then on the other hand, we watch people lose jobs, get their shows pulled off air, and careers collapse when speech crosses an invisible, rapidly shifting line. Just this week, a major network pulled a late-night show after its host remarks about the murder of a public figure, and political leaders raced to police what people said and fired people who crossed the line. J.D. Vance actually said he wants to go to people's employers who have made comments online and tell them that they made these comments about Charlie Kirk. This is what he's focused on. So what happened to free speech? Is it only preserved for the powerful or for those who fit the moment's favorite outrage? Or is free speech one-sided while the other side is told to be silent, to be careful, or to be canceled forever for a hot take? As a member of the LGBTQ community, I live between two truths. We deserve the same rights as everyone else, not special treatment, not privilege, but a fair shot to live, love, marry, parent, work, pray, and yes, use a public bathroom without being turned into a political weapon. We are not asking to dominate the conversation. We're asking to be allowed to exist in it. And here's what I can't stop thinking about. On September 11th of 2001, I lived in New York during that time, but I was just in New York this past September 11th for a meeting. And I remember back in 2001 how the country came together. In the face of unimaginable horror, we saw neighbors helping neighbors, strangers holding each other up, firefighters and nurses, and ordinary citizens rushing into danger for people they had never met. For a brief moment, kindness and care overrode politics. We remembered that we were not Republicans or Democrats first. We were human beings and Americans, and we were living together. What happened to that country? What happened to that environment? What happened to caring about others and showing kindness as a first instinct? Because today, instead of kindness, we are in a big division of this country. Instead of solidarity, we get scapegoats. Instead of caring about the sick, the poor, the vulnerable, we get laws stripping away rights, bans targeting our existence, and headlines that keep us at war with each other. At the same time, we've witnessed a horrible inversion of priorities. Lawmakers and media titans spend days and weeks arguing over whether a comedian crossed the line, while tens of thousands of pages connected to the Jeffrey Epstein investigation remain a subject of bitter dispute. Survivors still are waiting for accountability while power protects itself. Meanwhile, ordinary people are suffering. Healthcare is being stripped away. Jobs are disappearing. Farmers are losing everything. Mental health is collapsing under the weight of anxiety, violence, and uncertainty. And through it all, our leaders debate bathrooms instead of addressing the school shootings that scar children every single week. We are told to fear our neighbors, of who they love, of the color of their skin, or the pronouns they use. But what we should fear is how numb we have become to injustice, how quickly we have forgotten unity is possible. So what do? We cannot surrender. We do not let outrage replace strategy. We do not let fear make us small. If you are angry and scared, you are not alone. If you feel hopeless, let that pain steer you not into silence, but into action. You need to vote, organize, educate yourself, and show up for each other in small and big ways. Don't forget, this is our country too. We belong here. We will fight for the rights that we will let our children grow up without fear, and we hold accountable anyone, left or right, who tries to deny humanity of others. The question isn't whether the world will change. The question is whether we will be the ones to change it. And I believe we will. I believe we have to. Me and my husband had a conversation this past weekend talking about when, not if, but when we have to escape living in the United States, the country we were born in. And that is a scary conversation to have. And his mental health is not good because of everything that is going on in this country. And it's really sad that in 2025, as two gay men living together that have been together for 27 years, we are having a conversation about having to leave the country that we were both born and have lived in our entire lives. It's a sad day, but I have hope and I believe something is going to change soon. For some reason, my gut feeling is telling me there is a change coming, and it will be a major change for the good for everyone. The right has taken away so much stuff already. And in 9 months, Donald Trump, the damage he has done to this country is insane. And I can't imagine for another 3+ years what more damage he could possibly do. So let's just hope that we continue to come together as a group. We continue to protest. We continue to be kind to each other. Thank you for listening to my podcast. Sorry for the little rant at the end, but it's when I read this type of news and it's just so negative and there's just so many people wanting to take away rights, and we're canceling Jimmy Kimmel because he said something about Charlie Kirk, and we have freedom of speech in this country. It just gets me to my core where I just can't believe this is the country we're living in. So tune in on Sunday for more LGBTQ+ news and have a great week.